Timmy climbed down from his pickup with his usual routine, checking the cages, gathering the white and brown eggs, feeding the hens. But that morning, something had changed. On the edge of the enclosure, hidden in the tall grass, lay a dozen smooth black shells, mysterious and gleaming. Their color, darker than tar, sent a chill through his veins. He bent down, picked one up between his fingertips, and tested its texture. Hard, intact. What will this bring into the world? He wondered. None of his hens could have laid an egg like this. It wasn't a snake's egg, nor anything he had ever known. Timmy spent hours examining each shell, illuminating it with his flashlight, watching the countryside's shadows lengthen in backlight. At last, he decided to use the farm's incubator, the one he had bought for some experiments, and went to retrieve the small machine from a dark corner of the barn. He carefully placed the black shells inside, setting the temperature to 37.5 degrees Celsius and the humidity to 55%, according to the secret instructions in a breeding manual. In the days that followed, Timmy became a slave to that incubator. Every morning at dawn he checked the display. Every evening he measured the humidity with a hygrometer. Yet the eggs gave no sign of life, no cracks, no sound. The silence was more oppressive than any anticipation. Fatigue overwhelmed him. High fever, chills, sleepless nights. His face grew gaunt. His hands shook as he struggled to maintain those impossible parameters. When the fever forced him to bed, Timmy realized he couldn't manage alone. His longtime neighbor and friend, Cosmo, knocked at the door. "I haven't seen you out here in days. Are you under those covers?" he asked, his voice full of concern. Timmy, utterly spent, set aside his pride and revealed to Cosmo the secret of the black eggs. Together they resumed the farm chores. Cosmo fed the hens, cleaned the coops, ran back and forth between the barn and Timmy's house to bring him medicine and hot meals. But no one dared touch the incubator. It stayed running, almost in silent vigil, like an altar to the mystery. One night, Cosmo, tired but curious, heard a faint peep coming from the barn. Flashlight in hand, he hurried between the feed sacks and straw bales. The incubator was emitting a barely perceptible sound, like a kitten's mew. His heart leapt in his chest. He lifted the lid, and in the beam of light saw a tiny black chick pushing against its shell with one leg. "Timmy! Timmy!" he shouted. Timmy, still feverish, dragged himself into the barn, one step at a time, supported by Cosmo. He saw the first chick, coal-black feathers gleaming in the dim light, onyx-black eyes, a triumphant little cheep. Shortly after, a second shell cracked open, then a third. 6 extraordinary creatures, alive and untouched by the white or brown of the traditional eggs. That miracle of life moved Timmy to tears. The next morning, Timmy immediately called Frank, the geneticist specializing in prized poultry breeds. Frank arrived at the farm in a lab coat carrying vials, collected samples of feathers and blood from the first chick, and examined under the microscope the dark, pigment-flecked cells. He confirmed that they were pure ayam cemani, an exceedingly rare Indonesian breed that colors not only the feathers but also the skin, bones, and beak black. "This is an extraordinary discovery," exclaimed Frank. Meanwhile, Cosmo set up a small space with heat lamps and fresh bedding, tending the chicks as they huddled for warmth. Timmy, now revitalized by joy, noted every behavior, how they pecked at the feed, how they interacted with each other, how quickly their bodies grew. Word began to spread through the community. Timmy's farm had produced the impossible. In the days following the hatch, news of Timmy's entirely black chicks traveled far beyond the valley's borders. Each morning, children and curious onlookers lined up at the coop's entrance, hoping to glimpse a fragment of that shining darkness. The chicks, now sturdy and lively, darted between Cosmo's and his owner's legs, displaying a docile yet energetic temperament. One mild afternoon, as Timmy and Cosmo inspected the young ayam cemani's growth, an elegant black sedan arrived. A distinguished man emerged, Mr. Holland, an investor known for his acumen in agricultural opportunities. With measured steps and a restrained smile, he observed the chicks gathered around the heat lamp. "I've never seen anything like this," he murmured, gently stroking the plumage of one of the boldest chicks. Timmy, who disliked formal city drawing rooms, nevertheless felt a thrill of hope. This man might save his farm. Holland explained that he had learned of the Indonesian breed and its unusual black pigmentation, a type of chicken considered a luxury ambassador in niche markets. He proposed a partnership with Timmy, funding to expand the breeding operation, construction of new incubation houses, visitor information points, in exchange for a percentage share of future profits. Cosmo, with his bandana and simple heart, looked at his master and nodded. This deal would mean the farm's salvation. Timmy, though agitated by emotion, asked for a couple of days to consider. Mr. Holland agreed, inviting him to dinner at his agritourism estate to discuss details. That evening, Timmy told Cosmo everything as they gathered the feed for the night. "It's a unique opportunity," said Cosmo, "but we must make sure it stays in the right hands." Timmy agreed. Before signing, he wanted scientific confirmation of the chick's value to avoid reckless speculation. So he called Frank, the geneticist, for one final in-depth analysis. Frank arrived at dawn, guided by the scent of damp grass and corn kernels. He immediately got to work, collecting samples of feathers, blood, and even residual eggshell. In the laboratory, he analyzed the chick's DNA and compared the data with the International Genetic Database. He confirmed not only their belonging to the Ayam Cemani breed, but also the presence of a rare pigment chromosome variant capable of producing a metallic sheen in their feathers. That discovery made the chicks even more precious. Not only black, but endowed with an exceptional iridescent luster. Frank drafted a detailed report, complete with microscope photographs and growth rate charts, demonstrating that these specimens reached above average weight in a short time without requiring special care. Timmy read the report with tear-filled eyes. Every figure, every chart, confirmed that his intuition had been correct. With the document in hand, he felt ready to meet Mr. Holland. At the dinner organized by Holland, amid local dishes and a rustic chic atmosphere, Timmy presented Frank's dossier. The investor was impressed. "With this pigment mutation and rapid growth, we can conquer not only luxury restaurants but also collectors of rare breeds," he observed. They signed a simple yet precise contract. Holland would provide the capital needed to build 2 new incubation barns, a small museum shop for visitors and a shipping service for the black eggs. In return, he would receive 40% of the gross profits for the first 5 years. Back at the farm, Timmy felt a new energy surge within him. Together with Cosmo and Frank, he planned the renovation of the facilities. Within a few weeks, LED heat lamps were installed, fruit tree rows were planted around the enclosures, and a website for guided visit bookings was launched. The chicks, now about 80, roamed freely in a spacious pen, racing about happily, while the first visitors paid admission to admire and photograph them. The black eggs, strictly labeled Timmy's Origin and DNA certified, sold for a premium. Within a few months, the farm began to breathe a sigh of economic relief. Yet, even amid triumph, Timmy never forgot the night when, weakened by fever, he closed his eyes, hoping for a miracle. Now that miracle walked and pecked in his hands, embodying the hope that, even in the darkest moments, a new beginning can always sprout. In the months following the agreement with Mr. Holland, Timmy's farm was transformed into a small experimentation and hospitality laboratory. The 2 new incubation barns housed hundreds of Ayam Cemani eggs, some destined for sale, others reserved for genealogy and maintaining the genetic stock. Frank, the geneticist, returned regularly to monitor the animal's health and gather data on mutations and growth rates. Cosmo, having become the supervisor of daily operations, organized volunteer shifts with the village youth. He taught them how to clean the chicken coops hygienically, how to measure humidity and temperature, and how to recognize any signs of disease. Before long, every resident discovered the beauty and value of those rare hens. Even the most skeptical showed enthusiasm for Timmy's initiatives. However, success also brought its first challenges. The cost of high-quality feed, essential to maintain the bird's vigor and sheen, strained the budget. Furthermore, some rival farmers eyed this boutique business with suspicion, fearing a market invasion that might drive up prices for all poultry. Timmy and Mr. Holland therefore had to negotiate deals with suppliers of premium grains and alfalfa, securing discounts in exchange for visibility and participation in industry fairs. One day, a health inspector from the Ministry of Agriculture arrived at the farm for a review. Paperwork was in order, sanitary certificates were up to date, and Frank's genetic reports were on hand. After a few hours of inspection, the official applauded Timmy's transparency and the care given to the flock, declaring the farm a model reference for rare poultry breeds. Nevertheless, Timmy knew he could not rest on his laurels. Every morning at dawn, he returned to the pens, watched the adult chicks peck at the soil, and thought about how to improve yields without stressing the animals. Cosmo suggested establishing a small organic experimental farm dedicated to gourmet coastal restaurants. The idea pleased them both and was immediately set in motion. When the National Livestock Fair in Bologna finally arrived, Timmy and Mr. Holland were ready. They set up an elegant booth, wicker baskets lined with wool blankets, clear nesting boxes from which curious chicks peeped, and a tasting corner for chefs and buyers. Cosmo handled the presentation, explaining to visitors the story of the black eggs and the breed's unique traits. Frank delivered a technical report on the rare pigment mutation and its future development potential. The impact was immediate. Star chefs, international buyers, and representatives of livestock associations thronged the stand. Multiple news outlets filmed segments calling Timmy's Ayam Cemani the 2025 phenomenon in the poultry world. Advance orders arrived for hundreds of chicks and commitments for egg supplies to gourmet boutiques. Returning home with a haul of new contracts and letters of intent, Timmy and Cosmo burst into a satisfied laugh. Their rural farm's reputation had crossed every border. Mr. Holland, pleased, confirmed funding for a third barn and the creation of a multimedia lab to live-stream incubation and growth phases on social media. With the new resources, Timmy launched a circular economy project. Leftover feed and spent straw were turned into compost for the herbal fields, while the cooling water from the barns irrigated the sunflower plantations. Cosmo organized meetings with the district's schools, inviting the children to learn how a single egg could become a catalyst for agricultural innovation and environmental stewardship. Frank's laboratory expanded its scope. In addition to genetic analyses, he studied low-impact breeding techniques and plant-based alternatives to conventional feeds. Before long, Timmy's farm was no longer merely a production site, but a nationally recognized center for research and training. At the end of each day, Timmy would sit on the porch, watch the sunset, paint the red roofs of the barn in crimson hues, and recall the astonishment he felt that first morning when he found the black eggs. Now, that event had sparked a gentle revolution, a blend of family tradition, scientific expertise, and entrepreneurial vision. And as the wind caressed the glossy black feathers of his Ayam Cemani, Timmy knew he had transformed a mystery into an opportunity for growth, for himself, for Cosmo, for Frank, and for the entire community. The explosive success of the Ayam Cemani chicks led Timmy and Mr. Holland to consider a crucial question: how to ensure the breed remained pure while still accessible to a responsible market. The risk of uncontrolled speculation was real, especially after the media frenzy drove up prices for eggs and chicks. Cosmo proposed the first concrete solution: a digital pedigrees registry, managed by Frank together with a team of experts, in which every chick would be recorded with its genetic code, hatch date, and parentage. Anyone purchasing an egg or a chick would receive a certificate of origin, serving both as proof of authenticity and as a tool to monitor the spread of the mutation. With the support of the National Poultry Association, They thus established the Valle Verde Ayam Cemani Foundation, a non-profit dedicated to safeguarding the breed and training selected breeders. Meanwhile, Timmy and Mr. Holland agreed to allocate a minimum share of the farm's revenue to the foundation to fund scholarships for young agronomists and educational programs in schools. On the evening of a public event held in the provincial capital's auditorium, Timmy recounted the project's origins. Born from a single mysterious egg, the journey had united science, entrepreneurship, and solidarity. At the end of his speech, a long round of applause greeted him while Cosmo handed out eco-friendly giveaways made from recycled materials, each bearing the foundation's stylized logo. Challenges, however, were not lacking. Some traditional breeders, proud of their white and brown chickens, dismissed the black breed as a market gimmick. Others feared unfair competition from those who might illegally clone the genetic stock to breed Ayam Cemani at lower cost. To prevent such threats, Frank recommended patenting the mutation and depositing the sequencing data with a public institute, thereby enabling legal action against anyone violating the intellectual property rights. On March 12th, the sequence TC-CEMANI1 was officially registered with the Italian Patent Office, an act that cemented Timmy's commitment to protecting the quality of his specimens. Thanks to these precautions and to the transparency of the certifications, even major gastronomic retail chains began seeking collaborations with Valle Verde Farm. At the same time, Timmy did his utmost to maintain a direct relationship with small-scale breeders, offering them free training and supplying foundation eggs at a regulated price, provided they adhered to biosafety and genetic selection protocols. In this way, the breed spread sustainably, without creating a monopoly. At the dawn of its second year of operation, Timmy's farm was no longer just a production site, but a true multifunctional center. In addition to the incubation barns, it featured an environmental education lab, a small guest house for agronomy students, and a green area equipped for cultural events and local fairs. Every Saturday, families and tourists could join guided tours, taste black egg omelets, and purchase organic products grown in the surrounding fields. To further enhance the region, Timmy founded the Black Chicken Valley Consortium, an association involving local restaurateurs, beekeepers, and artisans. Its goal was to create an umbrella brand, Flavors of Valle Verde, uniting goat cheeses, wildflower honey, and, of course, Ayam Cemani eggs. This coordinated image not only benefited the farm but uplifted the entire valley's agricultural community, attracting rural tourism and bolstering the local economy. During the first Black Chicken Festival, held in summer with stalls, concerts, and show cooking, Timmy took the stage to thank the volunteers, the breeders, Frank, Cosmo, and Mr. Holland. He recounted his story simply yet passionately, inviting everyone to reflect on the value of ethical innovation. A black egg can give birth not only to a chick, but to an entire community learning to face the future with confidence. As the sun set and fireworks lit the sky above the red roofs of the barns, Timmy thought of his mother and the childhood dream they had shared, living off the land while respecting it and its creatures. That dream had at last become reality, and even exceeded his wildest hopes, transforming into a project of vast social impact. Months later, when he visited schools in other regions to share his experience, Timmy would always speak of the black egg he found by chance and the tears of emotion he shed at the first hatch. Those same moist eyes now gazed upon a concrete legacy, a model of rural development, a testament to collective responsibility and biodiversity preservation. And as an eagle soared high above the Ayam Cemani enclosures, Timmy understood that the true miracle lay not only in the rarity of the black chicks, but in an entire community's ability to recognize and nurture the hidden value within a simple eggshell. If you enjoyed this story, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss more videos like this. Share your thoughts in the comments. We're curious to hear what you think. See you soon.